You can do better speed training, getting better results for you and your athletes with as simple of a change as rearranging and reorganizing where you do certain things in your speed training week without even changing any of these specifics of the speed training itself. And this is a chalk talk that I gave some interns recently. I really like how it turned out, how I connected all the dots for them. I got 7 slides here. One's an intro slide, one's a repeat. So really I got 5 slides for you. And without wasting any time, here's how to organize your speed training within a day, a week, and a season, an applied and simplified guide. First, the core principles. What do we have to understand that are going to underpin all the decisions we are making and also not making within our speed training? First and foremost, I speak about this way too much, I should be sponsored. Charlie Francis's 95%. So this simply means you have to sprint at or above 95% or better of your best speed in order to potentially get faster, right? 95% plus is a high intensity rep that will maintain your speed and give you the opportunity to make speed gains as well. And really this is just intensity drives adaptation, right? So volume drives capacity. So the more stuff you do, you have a bigger kind of base to handle stuff. But at the end of the day, squats have to be heavy. Sprints have to be fast and things like that to kind of push the ceiling. Think volume or how much you do goes this way, and then intensity, how hard, how fast, how heavy raises your ceiling. And if I had to simply put in a probable run-on sentence, is how do we give the athlete the best stimuli for that day that their body can handle, that sets us up for the rest of the training week as well, and also aligns with the training goal of that season. So if we're keeping those 3 things in mind, plus we know that we have to hit intensity, basically certain speeds and above, then we're going to be in pretty good shape. So first, we have to understand the types of speed that there are, the types of speed that we're training, and consequently the effect that each has not only on the body or the muscles, but also on the central nervous system itself, because both those things are important. So we can choose the best stimuli for the athlete that day, but also not take away from the rest of the week. So very simply put, when I was doing this with some interns, we just drew kind of down arrows if it wasn't that hard, high arrows if it was hard, and kind of medium if it was kind of medium. So short accelerations, this is going to be 10 yards and under, in my opinion, 10 or 15 yards. Central nervous system, is that going to be hard on the nervous system? Probably not. So we're going to draw a down arrow right here. And how hard is it going to be on the body? Short sprints, not going to be that hard. Next, long acceleration. How hard is it going to be on the nervous system? This is going to be in that 15 to 25-ish all-out sprint, a little bit longer of a sprint, things like that. It's going to be pretty challenging because you're going to be hitting some decently fast speeds, not as much as a top speed sprint, obviously, and how hard is it on the body? I would put like a down medium. Yes, this is my chalk talk. I get to do what I want. Like a down medium-ish arrow. There's not that much kind of deceleration involved. It's just accelerating. I would call it more of a CNS stimulus. Top speed, how hard is it on the CNS? Very hard. It's the fastest thing that the body can do. And on the body, I would give it like doing some top speed sprints if you're well rested, if you're not excessively slowing down too fast or decelerating, it's not going to be that hard either. So I'd give it one of those arrows. And chain of direction, agility, deceleration, all of those things, not going to be that hard on the body. Think this is everything kind of winning the 10-yard race all around you, right? Shuffling, crossing over, backpedaling, retreating, flipping your hips, running and stopping, things like that. Not going to be that hard on the body because the speeds aren't that high. But it's going to be very hard on the body actually because of the eccentric stress, or basically when you put your foot in the ground to stop, the muscles are getting longer, but they're actively getting longer, right? You're fighting, you're trying to slow yourself down as the muscles are kind of ripping apart. So it's very, very hard on the body. So hopefully all of those explanations kind of make sense. As the distances get longer, it's harder on the body. And if there is a eccentric component to it, then it's going to be harder on the body as well. Next, our weekly readiness, right? So give the athlete the best stimuli for that day. but also sets us up for the rest of the training week. So if we keep in mind these two variables, right, the central nervous system readiness and also the body readiness, then we can give the athlete the best stimulus possible for that day and not take away from the rest of the week. So we just have time, or just think, Monday through Friday on the X, and then we have readiness on the Y. And the muscles, how the body is feeling, starts the week pretty good, and then as the week goes on, as training accumulates, things like that, the readiness goes down over time. So this is very simply put high readiness at the beginning of the week for the muscles and the body, and then it goes down as the week goes on. Pretty self-explanatory. And next, for the CNS, the central nervous system, as a training week goes on, from the beginning to the end, how is the body responding? And this was a big light bulb for me as a young coach, that you would assume, on Monday, my body's fresh, so is my brain and my central nervous system. Sweet. And yes, it's fresh, but it's not ready, assuming that you have Saturday and Sunday off in a regular training week. So technically the CNS is fresh but not ready. It's kind of like asleep from the weekend. So actually CNS readiness starts low and then it gets ready kind of day 2 of the week. And then as training accumulates, it kind of goes down like that. So that's kind of how it looks right here. Starts out low, it gets really ready, and then it kind of comes down the rest of the week. So this is a very important concept to understand, just combining both of these variables, like I said, and giving the athlete the best stimuli, but keeping everything else in mind kind of as you go. So if we move on to our next slide, okay, I'm going to redraw this really quick. So our CNS starts low, comes down. I did not go to school for art, if you couldn't tell. And then I'll draw our body readiness. Starts high and comes down, okay? So if we quickly backtrack, okay? So short acceleration, not hard on the body, not hard on the CNS. Long acceleration, kind of hard on the CNS, not really that hard on the body. Top speed is very hard on the CNS, kind of on the body. And deceleration is not very challenging, but hard on the body, right? So where one might think, if it's hard on the body, we want to do that when the body is the freshest, right? But why doing training direction first in the week wouldn't make sense is, if the body's fresh and then you destroy it with change of direction on the first day, then you take it away for the rest of the week, right? So that's why now I would love to keep my annotations. Thank you, PowerPoint. So now, assuming that there's 4 types of speed, let's say you're doing 4 days of speed training, there's these kind of big time points, right? We have low CNS readiness, but high physical. We have kind of the combo of both. And then we have the next 2 days where CNS readiness and the body readiness are going down. So what is not going to require a lot from the body or the CNS? Well, it's going to be our short acceleration, right? It's what the body's ready for, and also isn't going to take away from the rest of the week. Again, if we put change of direction at the beginning, then we mess up the muscles for the rest of the week. So what needs a lot from our CNS? What needs a lot from our CNS, but not that much from the body? Top speed usually goes the second day. And then long accel next, because you still need to run fast. That's that kind of sideways arrow for the CNS. And then when the speeds required aren't that high, right? Change of direction, agility, it's a pretty small space that you're working in, and you can make the muscles super tired because assuming you have the weekend off in a typical kind of training week. So this is typically how a 4-day training split would go, but in most places, like when I was at TC Boost, or most places in general, honestly, let's say you're training 3 days a week. Well, this would very simply put, you would just put change of direction and long accel kind of on the same day, if it was something kind of like that. So it'd be Acceleration focused, a lot of your short jumps, things like that. Short, twitchy, get the body kind of awake, the CNS awake from the weekend, but isn't going to be that taxing. So short accel, mid ball throws, jumps. Day 2 would be top speed focus, and then day 3 would be that long accel / change of direction focus. So typically, I'll put this back. This would be a very nice split that makes a lot of sense. When organizing a training week. So if we move on, now we know how to do a Monday through Friday, but where is that Monday through Friday compared to the competitive season, right? So if we know there's 3 main seasons, off-season, preseason, in-season, and we're controlling volume and intensity, okay? Knowing that we always got to hit something intense for our speed training, right? That's Charlie Francis 95%, but just how much of it are we going to hit? So off season, you're building capacity. There's going to be a lot of reps in general, but the intensity isn't going to be that high because you're kind of just building a base, right? Volume drives capacity, you're building your base, and intensity drives adaptation. So preseason, it's going to be kind of medium volume. The sport-specific things are ramping up, and intensity is going to come up because, again, you're prepping for your season. Then in-season volume is going to come down because sport is the priority, obviously. But your intensity should still stay up because if we want to maintain our gains, right, we have to stimulate it. So now we know in a training week, that's what we do. And based on the off season, you know kind of how much to program or kind of how much to push. So just to wrap up, you have to sprint fast. You have to actually sprint fast, right? Rocket science over here. And how do we give the athlete the best stimuli for that day to give them a really good workout, but also not take away or set us up for success for the rest of the week that aligns with the rest of the week and aligns with the training goal of that season, right? If it's early off season, get more reps in. The speeds are going to be what they are. Build that base. Preseason, you got to run fast, but be conscious of how much sport you're doing. And then in season, get in, get out, stimulate the speed, don't annihilate it, and let sport kind of take over. So that is how I organize a training week, a training day, depending on the season. Hopefully those concepts make sense. You're able to see the connections, and now you can make better decisions on your own to help you organize your speed training even better.